I love random unofficial landmarks all over the North Country that you see driving around. A hay bale sculpture on a farm near Hewelton, love that one. The Waving Saint on the Santa Clara Road, it's a classic. North Creek's amazing mosaic mural. You drive by and you always wonder, what's the story behind them? Well, there's one I have always wondered about, the caboose outside Canton in a backyard off Route 11. Well, we tracked down the owner and we have the story on today's Story of the Day.
Support for Story of the Day comes from Clarkson University, offering over 95 programs of study with campuses in the Hudson Valley, Central, and Northern New York. More at clarkson.edu.
Hey, I'm David Sommerstein. It's Friday, August 15th. First up, state lawmakers fear that New York is heading towards a fiscal cliff because of President Trump's new tax and spending laws. As Jimmy Vielkind reports for the New York Public News Network, some say Governor Kathy Hochul should cancel plans for rebate checks to avoid future cuts.
New York faces a $10 billion budget deficit next year. That deficit threatens social programs like Medicaid and food assistance that were recently cut by the federal government. So Lieutenant Governor Antonio Delgado says it's no time to spend $2 billion on rebate checks for middle-class taxpayers. He's challenging Governor Kathy Hochul in a Democratic primary and says she should cancel the checks.
$2 billion that could be very useful right now. Everybody knew this was going to come. And yet the governor thought it was somehow going to be important to hand out a sugar high.
Hochul pushed Democrats in the state legislature to approve the checks in the spring. They're set to hit mailboxes in the fall. Most families will see up to $400. The governor says that's real money. She touted the checks during a speech on Thursday.
Tell those people who are shopping for back to school at the groceries for their dinner tonight that they don't need an extra $400 in their pockets, that you're willing to take it out. Because I'm not. I worked hard to put that in their pockets.
The governor says critics like Delgado are tone deaf. Other officials say the time to debate the checks has come and gone. They include State Comptroller Tom DiNapoli. He says the state's fiscal health right now is good, but the budget talks coming up will be hard during an election year.
For the current year budget, not a reason to hit a panic button. Going into next year, sharpen your pencil, is going to have to make some very hard decisions on spending and revenue.
Hochul will release a budget proposal in January. In Manhattan, I'm Jimmy Vielkind for the New York Public News Network.
A new behavioral health crisis facility is expected to open in Clinton County next month. Ron Buster Garrow is the program director for the upcoming Intensive Crisis Stabilization Center. He says once it's open, people in crisis will be able to go there 24/7 for help with very serious issues.
We're talking about somebody that could be in withdrawal. We're talking about an individual who may have some suicidal ideation going on. Those are things we can help with. Those are things that we can provide services to that person and keep them safe and offer them support.
People who go to the facility will be evaluated and receive personalized treatment plans that might involve meeting with a counselor, getting a prescription for a medication they need, or getting referred to other services like housing or inpatient treatment. The center will be run by Champlain Valley Family Center, which received more than $2 million from the state to bring it online. Dr. Chinazo Cunningham leads the State Office of Addiction Services and Supports. At an open house for the center, she said, while overdose deaths in New York State are trending down, there's still more work to be done.
If anyone dies of an overdose, that's too much. And we know that these are preventable and we have effective treatment. And so again, this work here with the Crisis Stabilization Center is a key way to improve access to services and to support people in the community so that we can prevent overdose deaths and we can improve people's lives.
The center is located in Cumberland Hall on the MHAB Life Skills campus in Plattsburgh. Champlain Valley Family Center plans to begin accepting clients there in early September. If you drive regularly along Route 11 from Canton to Potsdam, you might be familiar with a certain sight, a red train caboose sitting in a farmhouse yard. Our news intern Richard Haller was curious how the caboose got there, so he decided to visit its owner.
The caboose rests in a backyard, along the cusp of a spacious meadow, with a railroad close by. The train is large, with sun-damaged red paint and a black top. Its owner greets me outside.
This backyard is kind of special. Having the railroad in the backyard, some people wouldn't be happy about, but we like it.
That's Ian McKellar.
People from out of the area, I'll meet them somewhere, and I'll say, well, you know where I live. And it turns out, yeah, they do know where this caboose is, so everybody knows where I live.
McKellar is 68 years old. He's married and has 2 sons. For nearly 40 years, he was an animal vet focusing on dairy cattle. He's retired now, but still busy.
I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs, but everybody's got to have some vices. And so I make maple syrup, I play bridge, and I play trains.
McKellar loves trains.
Watching trains is kind of like fishing. You have a lot of downtime where you're just sitting and waiting, and then brief times of frantic activity as the train roars by.
And you get a bite.
Or you get a bite, and the bass is running with your line.
He watches trains and has a sprawling, electrically powered model train set in his basement. And then there's his caboose. He takes me inside.
We put Christmas lights in it. We get a lot of positive feedback about that at Christmas time when I turn it on.
It's roomy, with enough space for a sink and a pair of bunk beds. In the middle, there's a windowed cupola with chairs that peer out across the field.
When our boys were growing up, they'd like to come and sit out here in the cupola especially and just look around or read or whatever.
McKellar says he's always wanted a caboose and was close to buying one in the early 90s.
And decided that was a foolish way to spend money, and I didn't do it. 5 years later, I was older, and I said, you only go around once.
McKellar bought the caboose from Canadian National in 1995 when it was in Edmonton, Alberta.
And they had trackage rights to Messina, so that got it really close.
In preparation, McKellar laid out tracks, pounding down the rails with railroad spikes.
It's a big nail. We drove them in with a spike maul.
The local train operator delivered the caboose to the McKellar's backyard in 1996. It was on a frigid day in March, with a frozen layer of snow sticking to the ground.
And they showed up here at like 7:30 in the morning. It was really cold for March. It was about 10 degrees.
McKellar coordinated with a crane operator who placed the caboose on a flatbed truck, driving it to the line of track.
They just picked it up like it was nothing.
McKellar says his love for trains goes back to his childhood.
I don't know if it's heredity or environment. My dad liked trains. When we were little, we lived in the Southern Tier in Waverly, and he'd take us kids down to the train station in the late afternoon to watch the trains on the Erie Lackawanna go by.
When McKellar was a kid, he says he encountered a few cabooses in people's yards.
There were people in Waverly that had a caboose in their yard that us kids in the neighborhood all used as a play fort, and I always knew I wanted a caboose.
Looking back, McKellar says he likes how his caboose has made his place feel unique.
When we have an afternoon rainstorm, the rainbow is always right over the caboose. And so we've got a bunch of photographs with the caboose with rainbow or even double rainbows over it. The boys, when they were young, would come and hang out on it, and the engineers would toot and wave when they went by on the railroad.
I'm about to leave, but before I can, McKellar stops me.
Here's the catch. You got to sign the guest book.
I added my name among the many visitors of McKellar's train caboose that continues to sit near Route 11 for all eyes to see. Just as I was leaving, the train on the railroad rumbled on by. For North Country Public Radio, I'm Richard Haller in Canton.
There are great pictures of the outside of the caboose, of course, but also of the inside and when they were actually like carrying it and putting it onto the rail that it's currently on, archival photos, and an owner's amazing train setup in his basement. So a lot of photos to check out, all on our website, ncpr.org, for some serious deep dive into the Canton caboose. Music today by Ellen Dunham of South Glens Falls and Fiddlers 3 of Redwood. Have a great weekend. I'm David Summerstein, North Country Public Radio.